Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling from July 15th, 2015, and let's go right off from the beginning of the show here. The aspect of Dixie Carter having everybody out there to announce who the new authority figure was. I felt they did a really good job with this promo. I actually did like the entire segment as a whole. I liked the aspect of having everybody out there, and then eventually EC3 coming out there before revealing that Bully Ray was the new authority figure. And I like initially thinking about it, I was like, why would Dixie Carter do this? She got put through a table by this guy a long time ago, all that kind of aspect. But her explanation of how she felt about everything actually works into having Bully Ray be that authority figure for this for the time being. So it actually ends out working, at least in my own personal opinion. The promo by Bully Ray, of course, really good, trying to set up the aspect that things were going to change, how people were going to act, and how things were going to be done, and everything like that. They'd make the title matches for the night. And then he makes the Battle Royal for #1 contendership, which that match itself was actually a pretty good one. I've always liked Battle Royals. I'm a sucker for Battle Royals, honestly. You always find them interesting to see how they would actually have them turn out. And, they do go in an interesting route, having Drew Galloway win the match and getting a world title shot later that night. And you saw segments throughout the night, them setting up that particular match with Drew Galloway having his promo with Eli Drake and EC3 having his promo with Bully Ray backstage. I thought they did a really good job in those segments as well. You had a backstage segment with Rockstar Spud and Bully Ray as well, setting up the Fatal 4-Way X Division title match. Relatively good match between all four of them. I'm not a fan of Grado at all. I just don't like him in general. He does not employ comedy to me. It feels like he should be a comedic character, but he does not employ comedy. He just seems like he's mimicking everything he's ever seen, and that's pretty much it. There's no real, I don't see depth in the actual character itself. So I'm not a fan of it. It can be entertaining in some way, shape, or form, but you had Grado in there. You had DJZ, which you're not sure whether or not he's a face or a heel at this point. I mean, he had that aspect that he was with Robbie E against Jesse when the bromance broke up and everything. But you're not sure whether or not he's a face or heel at this point, because honestly, if he's a face, he should get rid of that whole noise he makes, because that kind of is more heelish than anything else. So we'll see if they're going to do anything with that with DJZ. Of course, you had Rockstar Spud in the match. Everybody knows how Rockstar Spud is, plays the ultimate underdog, everything like that. And you had Tigre Uno, the actual the X Division champion. And they were promoting through the whole aspect of the show that he's going to talk about Trump the next week and what his controversial comments were and everything like that. So they're going to play kind of a political route the next week with everything in there. So the match itself, I felt was relatively good. You got some decent spots in there. Interesting how they play. I did like how they actually played off Grado in this case. The fact that he was the heavier character and each one of them tried to pick him up and try to slam him, couldn't do it, and everything like that. I did like that aspect towards everything in the match. Of course, you have your typical X Division or cruiserweight type spots in there. Rather sloppy finish. Then again, I mean, you're doing a very high risk move, so it happening every now and again is kind of forgivable when it's a high risk move like that. But definitely a sloppy finish to this one. Him basically almost completely missing him, hitting Tigre Uno hit Grado in the leg and gets the pinfall out of it. So overall, good match, sloppy finish. Next up was the Dollhouse and Brooke Tessmacher, or well, not the whole Dollhouse in the match, but they were at ringside. It was Tara Terrell versus Brooke Tessmacher for the women's title. Yeah, a quick promo about from the Dollhouse talking about Tara Terrell, but it kept getting cut in by this promo of Gail Kim coming back in. It was actually kind of interesting how they did that one. I liked how they did that, and it made you feel like, you know, yeah, it had that feeling. It's like, okay, Gail Kim's going to come at some point in time throughout the entire, either through the match or another week or something like that. Now, as for the match itself, I didn't like this match, especially the way it ended in any way. I like the aspect of Gail Kim coming out and attacking the entire dollhouse. I feel that they should have had, and it all depends on what they decide to do later on. Like, having the title switch hands because of that, and honestly, it was a sloppy finish for that too. Like, Brooke completely botched the move to win the match as well. No, they just have Tara Terrell win the title back in a few weeks. This is kind of a waste in some way. Like, are they going to have this program where Gail Kim's going after the dollhouse? There's no title on the line or anything like that. Or will they have, you know, Tara Terrell win the title back, and then Gail Kim's going after the title because she's going after Tara Terrell and the dollhouse for what they had done to her. The aspect of Gail Kim's character, coming in like ninja-like and everything like that, I actually kind of like. It's not bad. It's a little bit of a fresher take towards Gail Kim in some way. So we'll see where they go along with that. I'm actually hoping they try to find some kind of other program for Brooke, and then have Tara Terrell and the dollhouse going after Gail Kim down the road here, and you have something. You have kind of two programs going. I hope it's not one of those aspects. It's like, oh, they did the title change to kind of bring in Gail's new character, and then Tara Terrell gets the belt back in like 2 weeks or something like that, to just eventually have her face Gail Kim or something in that aspect. So we'll see where they go with that in some way, shape, or form. Up next, you had the Kurt Angle promo. You had the backstage promo with him and Bully Ray, and then he comes out and makes the announcement about how not only was he going to get another world title match down the road whenever he wanted, but he also had to go out for a period of time with a neck injury. And like, not an actual, like, he has to get full surgery on his neck. He had a tumor in his neck, so he had to go out, and he has to go out for a few weeks to make sure that happened. Obviously, it's going to happen much longer time period, because I think they taped like 5 weeks, but he was only going to be out of action for so many weeks, like less weeks than that. So you'll obviously have something like that down the road with him, probably EC3 again. And you also had a promo with him and Eric Young here, kind of almost continuing the feud with Chris Melendez and Eric Young. And that was the aspect of it. He went after Kurt Angle, but Chris Melendez came in to try to make the save, eventually getting himself pile-driven onto the concrete. So we'll see if that's just a way of writing off Chris Melendez for the time being, where they're going to go with that particular feud. So we'll see where they go with that as well. Not a bad segment to begin with there. Up next, they were doing the James Storm versus the whole James Storm getting a female partner to go up against Magnus and Mickie James. And they made the announcement that, okay, that match is going to happen in 2 weeks. You had a promo cut by James Storm saying, it's like, oh, I have my partner, all this kind of stuff, talking about his revolution and everything like that in there as well. Relatively good promo. I like James Storm and how he talks in general. He does a really good job getting across his points and what he needs to do with his revolution promos and everything like that. So relatively good promo again there. This leads into the main event, which was Drew Galloway going up against EC3 for the World Heavyweight title. And, you know, relatively good match between the two of them. Honestly, who didn't see the Eli Drake thing coming? Because you had the match weeks ago where if they lost to the BDC, they would have to disband and everything like that. So you knew the turn of Eli Drake was going to happen in this match. And it, you know, they did a relatively good job of it in setting it up, but it was pretty easily to see. So, you know, all in all, relatively good there. relatively good there for them, how they set up everything going into it. And you have another program there for Drew Galloway to work, because obviously he's not fully on that main event level. Not quite yet. Maybe he can be somewhere down the road. I've always liked him as Drew McIntyre back in the day. And also, I did like the stuff that he was doing right when he got in the TNA as well. So we'll see where they go with everything on that aspect. Overall this week, ups and downs. Ups and downs this week, I won't lie. You had some sloppy finishes in the matches. In the X Division title match and the ending to the Knockouts title match as well, which is kind of unfortunate. But overall, promo-wise and building a story, I felt they did a relatively good job of setting up the whole night. I liked the Bully Ray segments backstage and everything. You had the segments, basically him getting out there, being the new authority figure, and how they were setting up that throughout the entire week. So we'll see how they continue on with everything into the upcoming weeks. And that is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling this week. And I thank you guys for watching.